Welcome back again to Spotlight, where we feature the University of Central Arkansas's College of Fine Arts and Communication. I'm Donna Lampkin-Stevens. I'm joined today by my friend Sandy Longhorn, who is Assistant Professor of Creative Writing, and we're going to talk about the show today is going to be about the C.D. Wright Women Writers Conference. So she's also the director of that. And Sandy, just are you overwhelmed at the moment? It's coming up.
It's 9 days away. I just counted on my fingers just before this how many days away it was. It's 9 days away. So we are sort of in the thick of things, of getting ready for it.
And it seems like it's been around forever, but this is only the third conference, right?
That's correct.
So so give us a little bit of the background of how the inspiration, who C.D. Wright was, because we don't talk about this but once a year.
Right. So in the spring of 2016, actually in January of 2016, I was asked to come to a meeting about the possibility of hosting a Women Writers Conference at UCA. One of the UCA Foundation board members at that time, Nan Snow,
our favorite.
Our favorite, yes. She is a writer and a phenomenal woman of Arkansas. And she had attended a writers' conference focusing on women up in Fayetteville and was sad when they said it was just going to be one time. So she approached Dean Wright and asked if we could have one here. But she thought we could just have one for Arkansas writers. And, dreaming big, we said, no, let's make it national. Sadly, at the same time, C.D. Wright had just passed away, rather unexpectedly. C.D. Wright was a preeminent poet in America, and she taught at Brown University, but she was from Arkansas. She was born in Mountain Home. She went to high school in Harrison. She did her undergraduate degree just across the river in Memphis, and then did her graduate degree at the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville.
And that's where our Dean Terry Wright knew her.
Right.
In the 70s, right?
C.D. Wright and Terry Wright. Not related, but yes, they met and knew each other while they were both studying for their Master of Fine Arts in Fayetteville. And, after that, they, Dean Wright came down here and C.D. went on to have her career in poetry. So we voted very quickly that we would like to name the conference after her.
Really just a happenstance.
Yes, we knew. The committee knew immediately we wanted to have a name for the conference that was associated with a Southern woman writer, and then it turned out that we had an Arkansas writer who was renowned nationally and known internationally for the work she was doing, mostly for social justice. Her poetry falls under an umbrella called docupoetics. So actually a little bit like journalism. She did a lot of talking to people and traveling and then incorporating that into her work to try to convey what the South is. So it's a fit name because our mission is to try and promote and encourage women writers nationally, but with a special emphasis on women writers from the South.
Now, Sandy, do you think had she not died, would we potentially have named it after her anyway?
That I don't know. That's one of those.
It just sort of hit me.
I wonder how this would have gone.
Because she's the perfect name.
Right. And I hope that we would have come to that conclusion as we looked around for.
And so, what was the protocol? You talked to her husband?
Talked to her surviving spouse, yes, Forrest Gander, who himself is another sort of amazing American poet.
But not from Arkansas.
Not from Arkansas. Okay. And so it was delicate because she had just passed away, but he was very gracious and said, yes, of course, please do this. They had been in Arkansas several times, well, actually not several times, many times over the last 20 years. And in fact, C.D. and Forrest had both spoken at UCA as part of the CFAC Artists in Residence programs periodically over the years. So Forrest knew who we were, and he knew Dean Wright.
Has he been here?
He has not been able to come for the conference.
I hope he can sometime.
We always extend the invitation to him and to their son, but so far they haven't. But the press release just came out in the Democrat Gazette on Monday about the conference, and I received an email from her surviving brother who still lives in Arkansas.
Oh.
And he emailed to thank us for continuing her legacy and drawing attention to her work in this way.
Will he come? It would be great to have
I have sent that email back, but this is just unfolding.
Okay.
So it would be really wonderful.
That would be
if
great.
He could be there.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So tell us about how do you go about starting a conference?
Well, the first thing I did, being in creative writing and my background in English and composition, I'm all about the research. So I immediately put my academic skills to use by Googling how to create a conference. And I found the National Council of Teachers of English has a great website that has a whole handbook on how to create a conference.
Really?
Yeah, for their chapters that are, not national, but they're regional or state chapters. If they want to put on a conference, they have a whole handbook for how to do
wonderful.
it with a timeline of what you should be thinking about. And that was super, super helpful because...
So we started in 2016 and the first conference was in
2017.
Okay.
The conversation started in January of 2016 and we had our first conference in the fall of 2017. Now at those meetings when we were first discussing it, when we decided it would be a fall conference, I was like, okay, so fall 2016, that's 6 months away, 8 months away, we can do this. And luckily, the other people at the table were like, no, it needs to be fall of 2017. And then when I found that handbook, sure enough, it's 18 months to, if you want to do it well, it takes about 18 months to figure out the logistics of finding the venue and securing your keynote speakers, putting out the call for proposals and getting the panelists who are going to come. But then also things that you have to think about. Conway is 45 minutes to an hour from the Little Rock Airport. So if people are coming in nationally, how are they going to get here? What are all those logistics like? You have to build a base of support of volunteers. We have the board of directors upon which you sit currently. So we had to sort of get that community built in order to have that first conference.
And really the first one went off great.
The first one was spectacular.
I mean, they've both been spectacular.
They've been spectacular, but I mean, I know you want to hit it out of the ballpark the first time that you do something like this. We had 192 people who attended, and I should say UCA students can attend for free. So we definitely want students who are interested to reach out. You can simply email me at slonghorn@uca.edu and I will get your registration information. And so of that 192 people our first year, about 45 were students.
Our students?
Our students,
okay.
right.
Okay.
It's only UCA students who can attend for free.
Okay.
We did have some Hendrix students attend. They were able to get funding from Hendrix to go ahead and register and attend. And that's been the same both the first year and the second year, as well as coming up. But the other people represented 29 states, and we, obviously Arkansas with the largest contingency. And it was just a spectacular event from start to finish. But being the perfectionist I am, when the numbers went down to 163 last year, I was devastated.
So what do you think, what happened, do you think? Is it just...
Well, for one thing, we in our second year, this is all the logistics of conference planning. In our second year, when we accepted the panelists for the breakout sessions, we accepted 10 fewer people. We had the same number of breakout sessions.
Good point.
Right, but based on the makeup of those proposals, there were 10 fewer people. And then, in a bizarre twist of fate, we had 7 additional panelists who had to back out within between 3 weeks before the conference started and the conference starting.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Believe me, I was...
So there's 17 right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
there are all those reasons, somebody has a family emergency and can't come. Or
but still, lots of state representation?
And 26 states then.
Okay.
And I'm so happy because we are at 27 states for this year.
Yay,
so
already.
At least
and I haven't even
registered
yet. So yeah. So let's do say that it is November 8th and 9th. Okay. At UCA.
At UCA. So with November 8th is a Friday. Everything takes place in McCaslin and McAllister. And on Friday, we have Camille Dungey is coming. She will be our keynote Friday evening, and there is a reception with that. So food, doesn't cost you anything. Register for the conference. Camille Dungey is a poet and essayist. I'm not quite sure what she's going to read. She has 2 new books, so I'm not quite sure which one she's going to read from. But she is an environmental writer, a writer of place, a writer about race. As an African American mother with a young daughter, she writes a lot about issues of how marginalized people are seen in the United States, especially when she's traveling with her young daughter and her husband, and what assumptions might be being made about them in those situations, what kind of experiences they have. Because she's a writer, she travels across the country, so she experiences a lot of different environments. And then Saturday, it's all day, starting with a really wonderful breakfast. We're going to have hot food for breakfast this year, which we haven't had in the past. And that's at 8, starting at 8, and it goes until about 6:30 on Saturday. Our keynote for lunch is Jamie Attenberg, whose 7th book is out. It's a novel. It's getting rave reviews, and it just came out 8 days ago. I had to check the date. So she is in the midst of her book launch tour. She's from New Orleans, and she'll be reading and speaking in Fayetteville on Thursday night, and then coming down to be with us on Saturday.
Perfect.
And her book, which of course I haven't had a chance to read yet because it just came out, is called All This Could Be Yours, and it explores toxic masculinity by looking at a family over one day on the day that the patriarch is dying. They basically have received the call that says, you need to come now, this is going to happen. And the protagonist, a woman with a family of her own, comes to the house, to the hospital to be with her family, and she is struggling with the man her father was, not a good man, and trying to figure out how those influences created her and her outlook on life, and how she might escape that legacy of what's going on there.
So, and in between, we have these breakout sessions.
Yes.
So give us a little bit of the schedule.
So I brought my cheat sheet because we just got the programs.
Oh, hot off the press, yeah.
Hot off the press. And so on Saturday, before lunch, there are 2 times of breakout sessions, and after lunch, there are 2 times. And within each session, there are 4 choices you could make about what you might want to attend. And I picked out a couple that I thought would be most interesting to our students. Excuse me. One is called Women in Publishing. And I want to talk about this because we're called the Women Writers Conference. And I want to speak especially to our students who identify as male. This does not mean you are excluded. The reason that we are named a Women Writers Conference and all women are presenters and speakers is because of the great disparity in publishing. Across all fields, whether you're in STEM, journalism, creative writing, the number of women who are published is grossly underrepresentative of the number of women working in those fields. So we welcome men to our audiences. We want men to be our allies. And the only way this is going to change, and the reason we created the conference, is if we are able to change the system from within. If the editors who are making these decisions and the owners of the companies who are making these decisions can't see what's happening, nothing's going to change. So our students may go on to become journalists, writers in an academic field or a creative writer.
And we have a very broad category definition of writer. I think you've been very good about trying to expand that.
Yes, and in fact, we want to talk with people who are interested in writing, in journalism, in media, for the STEM fields. Every science company or engineering company, technology company, they have writers. And they're often people who did degrees in those fields. So we want to welcome all of those people, and we try to get our programming to represent that. So in particular, this panel, Women in Publishing, is really interesting because it features editors from Central Arkansas and publishers from Central Arkansas who are going to talk about how do you get a job doing this. So if you want to become an editor, then this would be a great panel for you. If you want to know how do I get my foot in the door at a small publishing company in Central Arkansas, this is the panel for you, because they're going to talk about that. We also have a panel called The Interview. So all your journalism students should come out for this one. The Interview is a panel. The speakers who are giving the presentation are long-form writers. So they, two of them have written a book about certain restaurants and the farm-to-table movement, I believe, and they went out and interviewed a bunch of people for that. But the panel is going to talk about what are those interview skills you need in order to get information that might feed into your writing. And so this would actually apply to someone who was doing docu-poetics like C.D. Wright, to a journalist, to someone who is writing a profile for their own internal company newsletter, right? There's so many varieties. I think that one will be just fabulous. And then we have Finding the River, excuse me, I have to read this one. Finding the River, Building the Bridge, Navigating Non-Traditional Paths to Writing Careers. So I think often people think, oh, you have to have a degree in creative writing, or you have to have a degree in journalism and then go into, you know, an internship and then get, so these are all women who are going to talk about the various different ways that they use their writing and how they don't match up with becoming a professor or they don't match up maybe with going straight into the journalism stream of intern to, you know, I don't know, cub reporter, that's probably way out of date. You know, and two more, do I have time?
Oh,
to do
yeah,
two more?
yeah.
Okay, so we have one of our panelists is doing a workshop called Shout About It, Basic Promotion Tips for Writers. And this is something that everybody needs in this day and age of being flooded with information and social media and how to get your name out there and branding
I have not
yourself.
done a good job with that. You know, we don't. That's not why we do it. But we need to become.
Exactly.
Yep, I know the need. So.
And especially for underrepresented groups like Southern writers, regardless of your gender, people make assumptions about you if you come from the South. And so, how are you going to help create your own brand to get over that? And that's actually a workshop. 75 minutes, but so where people will actually be doing practical things in that session to learn how to do that. And then finally, I need to put a plug in for the Nan Snow Emerging Writer Award winners. In order to try to live up to our mission, we set up an award our very first year and named it after Nan. And this is, we take submissions from any woman identifying writer who plans to attend the conference and any field of writing that they want. And then we have a first, second, third place, and usually an honorable mention, sometimes 2 honorable mentions. This year we just have 1. So 4 people, and they will be reading at the conference, doing a creative reading and taking questions and answers. And the reason I want to bring this out for students is these are people who are not that much farther along than having just done. Now, some of them may be a little older because of their winding path to doing this, but they are not that different from someone who is just beginning to write here at UCA. And so they would be very happy to talk with people about what they've done and how they've started.
Are the awards public yet, or will they be announced?
They are public. They are public.
Okay.
In fact, they're in my handy dandy cheat sheet. So we have, in first place, we have Callista Buchan. She's a poet. In second place, we have Allison Fraze Rivas for a short story. And what's interesting is Allison is from Little Rock. And all of these entries are read blind, so the judges don't know. And that's been the case since we started at the beginning. And we have ended up with someone from Little Rock in the top 3 places every year.
Wow.
And we didn't, of course, we don't know, right? So that's been really fabulous to have a hometown feel to the situation. And then Abby Miner is our 3rd place winner, and she has a hybrid work where she's actually using that poetics prose thing going on, but it's not quite journalism, so that'll be interesting to see. Her thing is called She, Some Interviews and Other Exquisite Business. And so she's gone out and talked to women, and I can't quite remember on which exact topic, but then she's woven that into her piece that she's going to be presenting. And the honorable mention is for Rachel Rainey Taub, and it's a chapter of a novel. So you get, granted, they're still very creative writing focused, and we keep trying to reach out to those people writing in other fields, but I think that's just a slow...
It will come.
Yeah,
it will come.
It's just a slow progress. Yeah.
So what effect has this had, Sandy, on the creative writing program?
So this conference has been an amazing opportunity for our students, but also for students from the writing program, and we would love to have more students involved from other areas. The English program, some of their students have gotten involved, so we always need volunteers. We still need volunteers, so if you'd be interested in helping out, again, just email me. But our students get to volunteer. I've often had student interns for the conference. Sadly, I don't have one this semester, but they get to work on behind the scenes in arts administration and get some real world experience in that. But most importantly, they get to talk to writers.
Yeah.
They don't have to go anywhere, right? And for our students, traveling to a conference, even in Dallas, is sometimes too cost prohibitive. So they get to, meet with and talk to writers from all over the country. And our first year, we had 3 students get internships with presses from Little Rock, just from talking to them at our book fair. So all day Saturday, we have a book fair, and different publishers and presses are there selling their books. And we just had students who started talking to the editors. We didn't do it, faculty didn't do anything. They just showed up and started talking to them, and the editors said, hey, I'm always looking for interns. Would you be interested in doing that? Well, we have an internship course for credit, so it all worked out perfectly. And 2 of those people ended up getting part-time jobs. And I have to put that in quotation marks.
After the internships?
After the internships. Because one of them is not a paid position, but she is now on the masthead of the press.
Oh, wow.
Right? So she's getting, but she's not an intern anymore, right? She has actual editorial duties. So that's fabulous.
And so who knows what can happen?
Exactly. If you come from
if you're in the right place, yeah,
right.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about the book fair. There are books for sale.
Right. So bring your debit card. No. Maybe give yourself a budget. I always have to do that when I go to one of these. But we have 14 tables because we're small. We're in McCaslin.
Is that about the same number that you've
every
had
year
before? Okay.
that we've had every year, and we ended up with just the same. It's magic. It just works out that way. We have at Alia Press from Little Rock.
Love
will be
them.
there. Minerva Rising Press from Georgia will be there. And Pleiades Press, which is new for us to come. They are from Central Missouri University. They publish Pleiades, a literary magazine that's very well renowned nationally. But they also have a press that publishes books. So it will be a great chance to talk to someone if you have written a book of literary journalism, or you're interested in perhaps writing a longer work of journalism. These are people you can talk to. And then we have individual authors who are presenting at our different panels, and they'll be at tables as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. So I know last year you made a good push to expand into journalism, into some of the other fields. What's going to set this year apart?
That's a good question. What's going to set this year apart?
You're just continuing to...
Well, I hope, and I hope that our diversity is greater this year. These are the 2 things we work on. Well, diversity of subject matter, but also diversity of attendees, diversity of presenters. So, for example, in one of our panels, we have our first trans woman who's presenting. So that's really exciting because we've always reached out to the LGBTQIA+ community and tried to encourage them. And in terms of other diversities, we have several Asian American writers who are presenting, and we haven't sort of reached that market yet.
Great. So, and really, any UCA student, it's free. Just contact you.
And that's
male, female,
anybody.
anything. Okay.
And that's $100. That's what everybody else has to pay.
That's a great deal.
So it's
plus
a really
food. I mean, if poor students have.
The food Friday night, the breakfast Saturday, the lunch Saturday,
it's
and
worth
then
$100
more food
there.
on Saturday night.
So that's.
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, let's go through the details of how they need to register, the website, all that kind of information.
So to register, you can just email me at slonghorn@uca.edu. And if you want to see the full schedule, it's on the website, which is cdwrightconference.org, or Google CD Wright Women Writers Conference. It'll get you there quicker maybe than trying to type it out. And then once you email me, I will send you the Google form for registration as a student. Faculty and staff do need to register through the regular registration on the website. So,
And what sorts of jobs are available for these volunteers if anybody wanted to help out?
So we need volunteers to help make our guests from out of state and actually from other areas of Arkansas feel welcome on our campus. So we need students who will help point out where things are. And you don't even have to be that well versed in the campus yourself because you're going to get the same question over and over and over again. We also need volunteers who will be in the sessions and who are willing to take a head count and get that information to me and make sure it starts on time and ends on time.
So sort of like, I mean, there's not really moderating, but just sort of...
Yes, not moderating. You don't have to know about the panelists or about what's going on, but you're really just sort of a room monitor, if we go back to our kindergarten days. A room monitor of, making sure it starts on time, ends on time, the count, and also getting in touch with me if there's an emergency.
Okay.
Which there hasn't been.
And you just flit around.
I'm on it. I'm all over the place.
So Sandy, what's been, before we wind up here, what's been the most rewarding part of your 3+ years work on this?
That is a very tough question, Donna.
I bet.
And that is because one part of me finds it so rewarding just to be with students as they're interacting and learning what it means to go to a conference. Again, because regardless if you go into creative writing, in almost every field, people go to conferences. So our students have this chance to experience conference life. And to see the students asking questions and getting information from experts that they wouldn't have access to.
Sort of finding their place.
Yeah, finding their place.
Yeah,
very, very well said.
Okay. CD Wright Women Writers Conference, November 8th and 9th. Don't miss it. Contact us for more information, and we'll see you next time on Spotlight.
What will you find at UCA?
The next generation of artists,
educators,
and communicators.
The College of Fine Arts and Communication offers 42 undergraduate and graduate programs of exceptional quality,
contributing to a deeper appreciation of the human experience.
But we also invest in your experience.
With broadcasts, conferences, exhibits, live performances,
publications, recitals, readings, and screenings.
We even offer a unique artist-in-residence program
featuring performances and master classes with accomplished visiting artists.
All of that experience pays off.
The school placement rates of our music teacher graduates with K-12 certification is close to 100%. We have many disciplines here, but they all share the same dedication to rigorous practice
and scholarly achievement,
which is why our graduates perform so well.
The College of Fine Arts and Communication at the University of Central Arkansas.
Go here and go anywhere.
Here I am back at UCA. This is where I got my start. Acting in plays, studying literature, writing scripts. Campus has grown so much in the last few years, and the technology is incredible. UCA is where I learned the craft of storytelling and got ready for a career in New York and LA. That's how I got here. Go here and go anywhere. Go UCA.